anybody ever goes to work. We can't afford it. So it's the right thing to do. This financial regulation bill that all the other party voted against, it was designed to do a couple of things. One, to make sure that the Securities and Exchange Commission can't go AWOL again like they did for the last 8 years. And two, to make sure that we can't have undue risk. So all these derivatives, I won't go into all the details, but basically, I'm from a farm state. You know, I grew up in Arkansas. I was the governor there 12 years. We like derivatives, meaning farmers have to hedge against the prices going down. Are the prices of their base products going too high? But they got a dog in the hunt. And they have to be able to prove if they lose, they can pay their gamble. What happened when we started gambling on home mortgages is people on both sides didn't have a dog in the hunt and there were no rules. So we're going to have rules. That's what the Congress did. It was a good thing to do. And the other thing they did, after the price of a college education went up 75% after inflation in the last 8 years, is to change the way the college loan program works. So you borrow the money direct from the government at lower interest rates, more people will pay it back. And the most important thing for every young person here, no one ever again will have to drop out of school because of their college debt, because now you can limit it to a percentage of your income, which you have to pay back every single year. It will change the future for hundreds of thousands of people. So here's what I have to say about that. If you're a Democrat, you need to hold your head up, and I'm tired of reading about how we're all bellyaching. You know, it's no secret that I tried hard to defeat President Obama in the primaries. And some of you helped. But I want to tell you something. It is my professional opinion that he has done a much better job than he has gotten credit for so far, and so has the Congress, and so has Kendrick. The most important thing is all elections are about the future. So what is the alternative going forward? You got a guy here who's actually proved that he went to Washington and thought of very practical things to do to try to make the country a better place and to try to help Florida. And in the primary, he's got an opponent who's got more money than he does. Near as I can see, that's the difference. One guy's delivered for you, the other guy has more money and runs more ads. And then he's got people running against him in the general, a Republican and a third-party candidate who was a Republican, saying whatever they're saying. But this is a doing time. We need the doers up there. And as a practical matter, you have two choices. You've got people who are going to keep working at this, and people who have promised. I want to honor the Republicans. They've been very honest. They said, if you vote for us, we're going to do exactly what we did before. We're going to go back and keep cutting taxes for the special interests and upper income people, and we don't care if there's a lot of evidence. You know, they tried it 12 years before I became president. They quadrupled the debt. Then they tried it 8 years after. Unbelievably, they doubled it again when it was a whole bunch bigger. We produced 50% more jobs than they did in the first 12 years, and our only 8 years, and 10 times as many as they did in the next 8 years. It's not like there's no evidence here. You know what works. What works is when you invest in the American people and invest in the job creators. Now, here's why this is so important. We got plenty of money to get out of this. There are three things that matter here. You worried about the economy? Where's the money going to come from to invest? What's it going to be invested in? And where are the workers going to come from? How do we get the workers in good jobs? That's what matters. Okay, here's where the money's going to come from. The big companies in this country have $1.6 trillion in the bank they hadn't invested in. I talked to a guy that works 100,000 people last week, and he said if he had clarity on about three things, he'd put 10,000 more people to work. Even more important, the banks have $1.8 trillion in reserves uncommitted to loans, which means they can make $18 trillion in loans at conservative risk. That's enough to take the world out of this mess. And we got lots of foreign investment coming in for the first time in a long time. So the money's there. The problem is the cat on the stove problem. You know the old story about a cat sits on a hot stove? The good news, it'll never sit on a hot stove again. The bad news is it won't sit on a cold stove either. We are in the cold stove phase of this. Figuring out how to get this money loose is a practical problem, not an ideological one. You need people who can sit down and make a deal. Ever since I first met this guy, when he was in the Florida State Police, rising up the ranks to become from a trooper to an officer, I've been impressed with how much common sense he has. He always wants to understand how everything works. He also wants to know what you can do to make it better. That's all he thinks about all the time. What are you going to do? We got enough talkers. We need